My name is Arina Motova, and I'm a head of economics in here in Seafish. And it took me probably 5 years since I started in Seafish to develop this tool. And I'm going to quickly guide you through the tool, how to use it, how to operate it, and quickly introduce you into the methodology so you can understand what is the data behind and what are kind of restrictions of using it. So first of all, I think you can all see my screen. So this is the main view of the Fleet Enquiry tool. And when you come to the tool, and the first thing what you should do, normally you should just check the information bottom in here. So this provides you a quick guide into the methodology. And if you click on this information icon, you will be guided into the methodology report, which is published on our Seafish website. So that report provides everything what you need to know about the methodology of the data collection, how we collect the data, how we estimate the data, how our fleet segments are defined, and what are the sample rates within each of the fleet segments. You will also find some information about the quality controls and data validations we are using during the preparation of the data, and also confidentiality rules, full set of confidentiality rules applied when we are publishing the data, and also when we are publishing the data on the Fleet Enquiry tool. Normally, we extract the data and share that information with the inquiries for sets and for the groups of vessels, which are more than 5 vessels. But on the Fleet Enquiry tool, we apply confidentiality threshold of 10 vessels within the group. You will also see the explanation of the Fleet Enquiry tool levels we created to share the data. So I'll quickly guide you when guiding through the Fleet Enquiry tool through those levels, but there will be more information in the methodology report. Also, there is information about definitions, data sources. You will be able to see the full list of economic indicators we collect and estimate, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of really a lot of background information in the methodology report. So going back to the Fleet Enquiry tool itself, the first dashboard is, the purpose of the first dashboard is basically to introduce you into the main indicators, to provide you an overview of the fleet. In each of the dashboards, you would see the small information icon as well. So that provides you a little bit information about the limitations and aggregations level and confidentiality rules, the main things you need to consider when operating the tool. By default, we set up the overall level of the information. So you can it's a UK seafood industry or fishing vessels. They are all included in this level, but you can also select the different levels of information you want to analyze. For example, home nation. So that level is based on the ports of administrations of the vessels. So where vessels are registered. And then there is another level of information. This is the top ports of landings. So top ports of landings are assigned to each individual vessel based on main ports where they landed most of the value of landings during the year. And only one port is assigned to individual vessels. So that is, it's not the same as landings by ports information. So it's the main port for each individual vessel during specific years. And again, the top ports information is also aggregated into 2 national territorial statistical units. So it's NATS 1 and NATS 2. Those units are used in national statistics and provide kind of regional overviews of the distribution of the fleet. So You can, if you select the NUTS2, for example, you would see some national territorial units defined on the map. Again, in this main, it's on the left-hand side, you can see the map view. On the right-hand side, it's a sea fish fleet segment view. Those views are not connected with each other, so it's a separate aggregation level, and the right-hand side is the level how we aggregate the data, how we estimate the data, and so on. So you need to remember that we estimate the economic performance within each of the fleet segments defined on the right-hand side, and then we aggregate the information, or we sum up information based on the individual vessels allocation to home nations or to top ports of landings to create those views on the map and to create those aggregated levels of territorial levels as well. So there is a possibility on the first dashboard to look at the weight of landings, value of landings, or number of vessels. So you can choose a metric you want to see, and that provides you an overview of where we are. So for example, if you hover around the map, you can see more information about specific region, in this case, and that's two. So if I press on these specific place in the map, you could see also the main economic performance information. The information below in the short main indicators list is filtered to that specific regions, and you can see that there were 242 vessels operating in Eastern Scotland in 2019, and those vessels landed over 4,000 tons of fish, and their fishing income and total income were around 20 million pounds, and the full-time employment in full-time equivalent was 235 persons. So if you go to the top ports of landings, for example, you will see the distribution of the fleet activity around the coast, and you will see main ports of landings for vessels. You need to remember that the ports of landings are appearing on the map only when there are more than 10 vessels landing fish in those places for at least 5 years during the time series period, so from 2008 to 2019 in our case. Again, if you go to that specific port you are looking for information, you can click on the port and the information below, and you will have the short summary information with economic performance information and employment below the map. So then we can move on to the economic performance dashboard. You can navigate between the dashboard on the top right hand, so using the icons. So in here you will have the level. You can select the different levels of information. So in this case, it's a full set of levels of the information available. You can select between sea fish fleet segment, home nations. Within the home nation definition, there is also vessel sign. So if it's a nation and vessel size, there is a possibility to select and differentiate between smaller vessels below under 10 meters and above 10 meter fleet. So you can select what is your kind of what is the fleet you're looking at and what type of information you're looking for. You within each of the dashboards also to when analyzing the time series and when looking at different trends of values, we also by default we present the real data, so that is recalculated to 2019 a year in this case, accounting for inflation and for the price levels. While if you select the nominal, you would see the data as it was calculated. So the values are calculated at the price level of the specific year. In this case, again, you can also see and differentiate between averages and totals. For example, the default settings is the total for the fleet or for the selection you just made, but you can also press on the averages and you will see the average per vessel economic performance indicators, and all the indicators on this dashboard except the number of vessels will be calculated as the average per vessel. In here, there is a small dashboard with the main economic performance indicators such as income, gross value added, operating profit. In some cases, if your selection is very small, for example, if you go to the top ports of landings and kind of select something very small, no idea, just selecting something random. So if you go here, you will have more precise information. So you hover over the economic performance indicators, you will have more precise information showing you some couple of signs after a couple of numbers after the comma. The cost, then on the right hand side, you can see the number of vessels in the selection you just made. In the dashboard, in the graphic below, you would see the cost structure of this set of vessels, of this group of vessels. So it would be, and we present the cost structure in terms of main cost items. So it's crew share, fuel cost, total vessel cost, and operating other operating fishing costs. So those metrics are also presented in our economic time series, and obviously the fishing income to compare the and see the profits. So on the graph below, we present also the two main economic performance metrics. So those are gross value added in gray and operating profit in orange. And operating profit is basically the distance between income and total cost. So that is the economic performance dashboard. Again, the economic performance indicators and economic performance and profitability is normally affected by internal and external factors. So external factors could be such as fuel price and global pandemic, for example, or global price level on the global market. But in this case, when developing the dashboards, we decided to just look at the internal information, or those internal factors which are affecting the economic performance indicators, such as effort, landings, availability of water for some specific species, also where vessels operate. Obviously, if you go far away from your home port or for your main port, you would probably have the higher cost. And if you have access to the higher value species, you would get also better price, and your average price per fishing days would increase. So that would give you a better economic performance indicator. So to analyze those factors, we created landing summary dashboard and effort dashboard. So those gives you an idea of what is going on within that selection of the fishing fleet. So now if we just select one of the fishing, maybe a couple of the fleets. So I'm selecting North Sea and Nephrops fleets within seafish segments. And in here in the landing summary, I can choose between weight or value I would like to analyze. So in this case, it's a weight. And again, for the values, I can also switch between nominal and real. The year, it's by default, it's set to 2019, but you can select any year you're interested in. And again, this dashboard is to analyze specific year. It's defined to analyze specific year. In each of the dashboards, landings and effort, you would see the row with the main economic performance indicators for your selection. So for your group, so it would be total income, fishing income, landed weight, number of vessels in the selection, in the group selected, employment, and days at sea. And then you would see the top 5 species landed by the group. So in this case, as I selected, it's a nephrops. It's the main species. So if you hover around, you will get again on different graphics. You would see all more specific information for the specific indicators you are looking at. You could, so by hovering around, you can also somehow select the indicators and see what is available for them. There is also possibility to select specific species in this case. So basically, if the species you are looking for or you want information for is not in the top 5 list, you could also select it on the Dropbox here and just say Kates and race if there is any in this case, and that will give you an idea of what's being recorded for that specific fleet. Obviously, it's not the main target species for this fleet, but there was some Kates and rays landed in November in this case. So if I just go back to selection, to remove the filter, you can always click on the crosses in here on the filter. Usually, normally filter is with cross in here, so it will just remove your selection. Again, if I would just select in this case whiting, I just select apply, so it applies as a filter. You can see when the whiting been caught during the year, how much of this species been caught during the year, and where in which ICES areas the whiting being caught during the year. If I again remove the filter by clicking on this small icon with the red cross there, I can again get back to the same view. So that is the main things which I wanted to show in here on the landing summary dashboard. Again, there is one additional information about the prices during the year, and seasonality of the prices is analyzed on the bottom right corner. So you can see that the average price, again within the same selection of the vessels, was relatively stable in this case. But for example, if we would now again select nephrops, for which is the main target species for the selection I just made, you would see the seasonality of the nephrops fisheries. So you can see that a lot of nephrops is supplied more landed in June, July, August, September during the summertime and autumn time. And there is also a bit of price drop during the summer times because of the supply is going up. So it's again, you can have a look and see what are the prices, how they affect the fleet performance, what is the seasonality, and for obviously for some of the vessels, you would find that their operations are very seasonal, and obviously the vessels and the performance would be dependent on the also other possibilities during the year, or also on the seasons, on the catching seasons. So again, I'm removing the filter from here and moving on to the airport dashboard. So airport dashboard, because I selected on the previous dashboard, I made a selection and I selected nephrops, North Sea nephrops trawlers. The filters goes to from one dashboard to the other. So you can see again the same main indicators for the same fishing fleet. We just selected, and you can see what are the main gears used by that fleet. So in this case, it's demersal trawl and demersal stain. Again, by pressing on those, you can select on the color. You can select the view, so you can also highlight it in here. It's not probably needed in here because it's mainly this fleet is 99%. They are using demersal trawls and demersal stainless during the year. Again, if you want to select something specific year, you could also select it in here. And for example, the beam trawl is not the most important here, but you could also select the beam trawl. Or if you choose the if you make a different selection and you have some more information, you would get more different gears used, and you could also select those gears of your interest, for example, drift and fixed nets. Again, it's not a precise gear list. It's a fishing techniques as defined in the data collection framework at the moment. On the right hand side here, you can have similar view with the gears, so you can see the effort by months and the gears used during the year. And on the left hand side, you can also have the effort by ISIS areas. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, it was not feasible to create it on the same, to add the map on the same dashboard. So we had to create the map in the separate dashboard, but you can still get access to it, and you can still have it and analyze it, the effort by area. So in this case, you would just need to apply. You just need to apply the same as the selection from the beginning. So basically, we were on the sea fish fleet segment, so you can select the sea fish segment level. Again, remove all the selection and select the nephrops trawlers. Again, you need always to press apply to filter the data. And in this case, you can see where the effort of the North Sea demersal sea nephrops that have been attributed during the year. So they mainly were fishing in 4A and 4B. However, some of the vessels were operating around on the other side, on the west coast, on the western coast. And again, because we define our fleet segments based on the top area, so vessels vessels can operate in other areas during the year, but the main area would be during the year for each of the vessels in the selection in those fleet segments. As I selected the North Sea, the main area would be North Sea during the year. So again, to remove the filter, just press the red cross in here and get to the main. What you need to remember about the map, that the maps are only available for all the operations in Area 27, so in the North Atlantic. and it doesn't cover any other operations. So to get back to the effort summary page, you just need to click the arrow here to go back, and you will be redirected into the activity summary dashboard. Remove the selection here. And again, you can use a new selection. Or so moving on into the main table. So the dashboard we call main table, but it's basically the same information we are publishing in our Excel files for years now. So previously, those who used our Excel files, our time series Excel estimate, they would be familiar with these tables. So it includes all the information about the specific fleet segment or the vessel group. So it's just the selection total. So it's the number of active vessels, their power, gross tonnage, capacity, overall landings in weight, and value of landings or fishing income would be presented as total days in sea and employment in terms of full-time equivalent. Also, you will find the average vessel characteristics. So it would be the main characteristics we see and we decided to add. So it's an average length, average engine power, average landings per vessel, average days at sea, or age of the vessels within the group selected. Also, performance indicators, those kind of showing the evolution of the performance. So landings by kilowatt days at sea. So it will show when it was when the landings being the most efficient or the most per kilowatt days at sea. Fishing income per kilowatt days at sea, cost per kilowatt days at sea, and some other characteristics like operating profit and fishing income and operating profit per full-time equivalent. So the efficiency of labor as well is analyzed in this table. And then you will see the whole bunch of financial indicators we estimate. So it's the fishing income, non-fishing income, and crew cost. And some of those indicators are visualized on the other dashboards, but if you need the information and if you need the full set of information, it is available in the table. And the table will again allow you to select any of the levels on the top left hand. So again, if you need some information for the specific port, you could select that level. You can choose from the list of ports available. Press apply, and all the indicators will be calculated and will be presented for those vessels for which the top port of landings would be Grimsby. So in this case, you can see that the evolution of the number of vessels and the evolution of all the different characteristics. You can also see a small trend lines in here and highlights of maximum and minimum values are made using the colors. So probably the most important for and of interest is, again, for those who are using the data, and for some people who analyze, who works a lot with the analysis, is how to export the data. So in this case, now the function to download, the possibility to download is already available in the dashboard. So you can I just exit the full screen, you can see this tiny symbol in here in the Tableau dashboard. So if you press in here, there is a possibility to download any view you need. So you can download image, data, cross-tab, PDF, or the whole Tableau workbook. Or also you could create PowerPoint if you are interested in downloading the information to the PowerPoint. So if you want to get the data, it's the best is just to put your cursor somewhere on the table, press this little icon here, select the cross tab, and you will download the Excel table with all the data, and you will be able to analyze it locally.